Hi, I'm Jennifer Hunt from Pensacola, Florida. I'm demonstrating how to make a Revolutionary War era meal. We're starting out with Thomas Jefferson's meringues. I've got 6 egg whites here in the mixer, and as they begin to beat, I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of sugar. Now, as you'll notice, the egg whites are just about stiff. I'm going to add a little bit of nutmeg to flavor these because nutmeg was a popular spice in colonial times. Let's see how stiff they are. Pretty good. We're going to come over here and we have our pan prepared. We've lined it with paper, and we're going to plop the meringues onto the paper, and they're going to bake for about an hour in the oven. And our oven is already preheated to 250 degrees. Okay, now we're working on the molasses bread. And the recipe calls for 2 cups of flour and a 1 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. Now I actually ground this flour from wheat this morning, so you'll see there's some parts that are very fine and there's parts that are more coarse, so that's going to give the same effect as adding the 2 different kinds of flours. This is organic Golden 86 wheat. We're also going to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And we're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. Alright, there's our 2 teaspoons of salt, and we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Just a little less than that. Okay, we're going to stir all that together, and then the next step is I'm going to work some butter into that. The next step in our molasses bread is to take our butter and we're going to cut that in. Now the recipe says that we can use a pastry blender or a food processor. I don't actually have either of those, so I'm going to do this just like a colonial cook might have done it, with my fingers. And we're just going to work this butter in until it becomes a crumbly type of mixture. Yeah, we're going to work that. The baby's getting hungry. You might hear her in the background. Okay, we've got our butter mixed in well. It's just little crumbs now. And the next step is we're going to take our buttermilk and we're going to take our eggs and our molasses and combine them. So we're doing that here in this smaller bowl. We've got all of our wet ingredients here, and then that's all going to be added in. Make a nice rich brown bread. I think the ingredients said this was good for a brisk spring evening. We're not having brisk spring in Florida. We're having a scorcher out there, but I'm sure our colonial ancestors in Massachusetts would be enjoying this about this time of year. And we're going to mix this just until it's combined. Like that is good. Okay, now our meringues have been cooking all this time, but we've got to get the oven up to 350, so they're coming out. And then over here, I've got my pans prepared, and I'm going to divide my dough for the molasses bread between these 2. And the meringues, as you see, turned out a nice golden brown. We'll let them cool and enjoy them later. There was actually enough meringue left that I made it for the top of some pudding, but you could actually have made another whole pan of meringues. And our dough's divided evenly. We're going to put that in at 350 degrees, and that will be ready in about half an hour. Okay, we're making our potato soup, and it looks like we've got, here in the pot, we've got the potatoes, we've got some onions that are chopped up, and now I'm going to add the celery. And once we get all these vegetables in, I'm going to add some almost boiling water. And we're not going to drown them, we're just going to barely cover them and let them cook until they are tender. I do a lot of cooking with the baby on my hip, and I'm pretty sure my colonial ancestors would have done the same, so I feel like I'm in good company. Maybe just a wee bit more. And so that we're going to let that cook, and while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and heat up the milk that's going to be added at the end. I've added the 5 cups of milk. They were heating while the potatoes were cooking, and I've added that to our soup, and now I'm going to add the butter and salt and pepper, about a teaspoon of salt, and I'll probably add about that much pepper as well. And we're just going to let this finish heating. It's really close to being done. Everything is hot, and potatoes and everything are cooked down, so it is just about finished. Our bread smells wonderful. The baby's scoffing some down now. And if you want to check out our table, we've got our colonial candles that we bought at the John Adams house. So we've got these great bayberry candles here we're going to light in just a minute, and our silver and our china. And this one doesn't care about that yet, but she's sure excited about this molasses bread. Well, I just want to give a shout out to our colonial foremothers. I've cooked this meal in semi-colonial garb. I had to adjust it because I'm 5.5 months pregnant. But I'm in an air-conditioned house, and I tell you, I am burning up, and I can't wait to get my shorts on. So I commend them. I think about all the open flames and the hard work that they must have done without any of our modern conveniences. We're getting ready to enjoy our food. Thanks very much.